Hi guys, and it is Kate here for a different sort of video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and then when I got a tripod figured out, I thought this would be a great way to show you some new picture books that I have been reading with my son recently, and just some really beautiful ones, and hopefully these are ones that you could find at your local library. And the first is this really beautiful Pocketful of Posies, a Treasury of Nursery Rhymes by Sally Manor. And this is one that has just such unique illustrations. I just love the velvet plush illustration. Such elaborate needlework has been done in this, and I think that sometimes children and grown-ups too can think that poetry is boring, quote unquote. And so I think this is a great way just to get kids really excited and interested in poetry, and it just has such elaborate illustrations, and I think it is so great. The next one is called Daylight and Starlight and A Wild Life, and this is by Wendell Miner. And this is a really great one for the nature lovers out there. And I just think the illustrations are so whimsical and timeless looking, and just such a joy, and really can show how magical that nature can be and that real life can be. I do think sometimes if you're just reading fictions to kids, then it can just make real life seem boring. So I do think it's also cool to make time for these books that are showcasing how exquisite and amazing nature is. And then following that up with another one is See What a Seal Can Do by Chris Butterworth. And this is a really great nonfiction about seals. The illustrations are really fabulous. They're by Kate Nelms, and once again, I just think this is a great way to make real life seem magical. And so for any kid who is interested in the ocean or sea life, I think this would be one that they would really enjoy. The next one is this rather unique one called Waiting for High Tide by Nikki McClure. And these illustrations are really just special, and they really stand out and just make it seem exciting. I don't know. I just really like them, and they're really different and unique. And I think this is a great book, and one that a lot of people enjoyed. It's a very different story too. It almost feels like poetry. And so if you want something that's really different, a kid who has a longer attention span, I do think this is a really great way for them to really, there's clams and all sorts of things. So for a really great way for them to see these different aspects of water that they maybe haven't thought of. And especially if you, like myself, live in the city, then books are a great outlet, way to explore nature more. This next one is The Tortoise and the Hare, and this is an Aesop fable, and it's retold and illustrated by Bernadette Watts. And knowing me, knowing how I love whimsical, charming things, I really do enjoy the illustrations in this, and I think The Tortoise and the Hare is just such an iconic children's story. It's just one that begs to be read to generation after generation, and so this just has some glorious, vivacious pictures in here, and I just think it's highly, highly enjoyable. Then one of my favorite fairy tales is Thumbelina, and this is Sylvia Long's Thumbelina, so retold by her and illustrated by her. And if you like Thumbelina, the actual story of Thumbelina, I think you'll really enjoy this. And I think it's not too wordy, but it's not too short also, and it's just really great. And then the next one is Gigantosaurus by Johnny Duddle. And this is one that is definitely more modern, but my son absolutely loves dinosaurs now, so I definitely wanted to give this a shot. And so I think it's fun because it gives, it really, what am I wanting to say? Just really anthropomorphizes the dinosaurs and gives them all distinct personalities. And so maybe for the new generation, instead of The Land Before Time, they can read books like this, and it just looks like a lot of fun, a great adventure tale. Then this next one that I hadn't heard of before, going to the library today, and I thought it looked so cool, is this Cinderella Retelling. And I love how it's retold by Cynthia Rylant, who's wrote the Mr. Putter and Tabby books. So I already like that author. So I am really looking forward to seeing her retelling. And then the pictures I love because they are this very artistic rendering that's totally inspired by the 1950s Disney movie. And I think it's so cool to have one that definitely looks like paintings, but you can tell is so inspired by the original over. The next is a counting book, and I just think counting books are really great for when you're really wanting to drill that in and help them learn. And so what better to count than dogs and cars? This is by Felix Massey and Emmanuel Walker, and it just has all sorts of interesting dogs in it and so many interesting breeds. And then it's fun to see later on, how many the kids will remember. And I just think it's really fun and just kind of humorous and just rhymes also. And so I definitely think it's one that is worth your while. Then one that's very classic, and I can't believe I have not talked about this in my favorite picture books video, and that is Stone Soup by Marsha Brown. This is a really old tale, and it's really cool, basically where the moral of the story is sharing. And it's about these 3 soldiers who come into town and people don't want to share food with them, and they say, well, that's okay, we know how to make food out of just stone. We can make you soup just out of stones. And so they start with stones, and they're like, oh, this is great, but what if we had onions? And so then gradually they just build it up to this amazing soup that feeds the whole town. And I think it's really great how this has a trichromatic color scheme. And then in a different vein is Crocodile Tears by Alex Beard. I think it's really great to kind of help kids experience old tales from other countries. And so this is a African tale, and these illustrations, I just love that they look so alive. And I love how just all of the bright colors and the way they pop, and it's just so beautiful. I can't stop looking at these illustrations. I really appreciate them, and it's a really enjoyable story. It's bad out. And then lastly is this book called Swatch, The Girl Who Loved Color by Julia Dinos. And this is a really fun one for kids who you really want to have eye-catching illustrations for them to see. And it's just about this little girl who loves to play with colors, and it has a very lyrical sort of musical quality to the words. Rumble, tumble, pink rolled through the sky on the heels of outgoing thunderstorms. And so it feels very much like a poem. And you just get to see all of these eye-catching, popping colors. And I think it's really extraordinary and neat to see all of the different ones. And she's such a spunky little girl to have as the main character. And I find it really enjoyable. So I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of different video. And I just really do spend a lot of time, looking at picture books throughout the week with my son. And I love getting to pick them out. And I am so thankful for libraries and just what a gift they are. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this, like I said, and I will see you for another video soon.